It is no secret to longtime fans of the channel that trading card games have been a big influence in my life, both on and off the channel. In this series, both DemonBattler and myself will be opening 24 packs, or one box, of each core Yu-Gi-Oh! Booster set in chronological order. After each opening, we will build decks from all of the cards we have opened thus far, then duel each other in a best-of-3 match with 3 prizes up for grabs to improve our decks. The winner will receive 2 of those prizes, and the loser will get 1. The possibilities for prizes are almost limitless, including single cards, sealed product, structure decks, and much more. Every card in the entire game's history will be obtainable in some form. However, neither of us will be able to rest on past laurels easily. The ever-changing official Forbidden and Limited list, our own choices of cards to be banished to the Shadow Realm, and even changes to the very rules of the game will keep our decks and duels fresh. This is yet another Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression series. Pharaonic Guardian was released July 18, 2003. This set introduced the very first archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh's history, the Gravekeeper archetype. It is a series of dark spellcaster-type monsters revolving around the field spell, Necro Valley. This is a pretty high-impact set, so let's start going through the cards. Birdface is Harpy Lady support, which we won't play this now, but we may consider it once we get more Harpy support in Rise of Destiny later on. Arsenal Bug is an insect payoff. It's a 2k 3-star that loses half of its points if you don't control another insect. A Servant of Cannibalism is the largest direct attacker that we have access to at 700. A Swarm of Scarabs and Swarm of Locusts and Deslocuta are the 3 Pac-Man pieces. And you're going to laugh, Pac-Man stands for Pure Advantage Camel Munches All Noobs, and that is one of the decks that I'm going to be shooting for in today's episode. There are a lot of stall pieces that we have at our disposal, and being able to turn that into resource advantage is exactly what we're looking for. Swarm of Scarabs destroys monsters, Swarm of Locusts destroys spell traps, and Deslocuta draws us a card. Call of the Mummy is zombie support. This lets us special summon a zombie from our hand once per turn if we control no monsters. Needle Sealing is a side deck card that will see play. It will destroy all face-up monsters on the field if there are at least 4 monsters on the field. Trap Dust Shoot is a very strong card and will see play until it gets banned. If your opponent has 4 more cards in their hand, you get full hand knowledge and you get to strip a monster out of their hand. And now we get to the Gravekeepers. There are quite a few of them. A Gravekeeper Spy is a 2k defender that lets you summon another Gravekeeper's monster from your deck, as long as it has 1500 attack or less. A Gravekeeper's Guard will bounce a monster on flip and it's 1900 defense. Gravekeeper's Spear Soldier is a 1500 piercer. Gravekeeper's Assailant lets you change battle positions of monsters if you have a Necro Valley. A Yomi ship could actually wind up seeing play for a little bit. It will destroy any monster that destroys it by battle. And then a Cat of Ill Omen will search out trap cards, and an Owl of Luck will search out field spell cards. And then we get to some pretty interesting spell traps. Due to our lack of back row removal, Different Dimension Capsule may actually be worth playing because both of us only have one source of back row removal that's main deck worthy. A Different Dimension Capsule is a Gold Sark that stays on the field for the 2 turns necessary. However, your opponent does not get to see what you grab. If the Different Dimension Capsule goes, however, the card that you search with it is banished forever. Reasoning is a way to cheat out high-level monsters. Your opponent gets to call a monster level from 1 to 12, and then you excavate cards from the top of your deck until you find a monster. If it does not match, then you get to special summon it. Dark Snake Syndrome is an interesting one. This could actually double as a win condition in many of our decks that are stall-oriented. This will inflict 200 points of damage to each of us during my standby phase, and then that damage gets doubled every turn. it's a pretty strong win condition. Terraforming lets us search out field spells. As the field spells get more powerful, this will quickly get limited. Metamorphosis is a very powerful card, and this is a card that I am going to be looking very forward to, and this is the entire reason why I took Scapegoat over Graceful Charity. Because between Magician of Faith and Scapegoat, we should have enough fodder to Metamorphosis our level 1 monsters into that Thousand Eyes Restrict that I pulled out of an ultra rare wild card earlier, and that will let us slow the game to a crawl. And now we also have Raigeki Break. Raigeki Break is our first common piece of removal. It is a 2-for-1. However, this will be able to destroy any card on the field, whether it be front or back row. It is very versatile and will see main deck to side deck play. And we have a few more commons up top that are worth talking about. We have Dark Dust Spirit, which is a common board wipe. This could wind up seeing some play, just by the fact that it's a common board wipe and we really don't have board wipes. We have Book of Taio, which will forcibly flip summon any monster. This could be useful for abusing powerful flip effects later on, especially if we can get our hands on a Morphing Jar. Then we may potentially be able to build the Empty Jar deck. Ordeal of a Traveler is a playground staple. So what this card does is when your opponent declares an attack, they choose a random card out of your hand and declare the type of the card. If it is declared incorrectly, then the attacking monster gets sent back to the hand. And then our final common worth talking about is Dark Coffin. So Dark Coffin is an interesting card in that it is a back row that wants to be destroyed, and this could wind up being very powerful in a Demon's deck specifically, because this does not care how it is sent to the graveyard, it just needs to be destroyed and sent to the graveyard while face down for its effect to activate. Then your opponent has to discard a random card or destroy a monster on their side of the field. Now moving on to the rares, this is where a ton of power is in this set. King Tiger Wanghu is a special summon gate that could wind up being very good. It will destroy any monsters that are normal summoned or special summoned if they have 1400 or less attack. Pyramid Turtle is fantastic zombie support. It is a recruiter for zombies with 2000 defense or less, which will be very powerful once we get Ryukoki. And I'm sure if we pull a large number of Pyramid Turtle, that will be on the table. Book of Moon is going to be a forever staple. This simply sets any monster on the field. It's a quick play. This is going to be a very annoying card to deal with, and I'm sure one of us may ban it eventually. Curse of Royal is good against targeted back row removal, and depending on how much back row removal we see when we get to our first reprint sets, this could wind up seeing play out of the side deck. Reckless Greed will be very useful in combo decks. We may consider playing this episode if we get 3 copies of it, but this card does get limited pretty quickly. The next noteworthy rare is Nutoria. So Nutoria is a reasonable body. It's like Yomi ship, but it can be destroyed by battle, and then you get to destroy any monster, not just the attacking monster. We will play this if we get it. Spirit Reaper is a very powerful card. It is format defining. It is the first monster that cannot be destroyed by battle. However, if it becomes targeted by a card effect, it will be destroyed upon that card effect resolving. And then if it attacks your opponent directly, you get to strip a card out of their hand as well. This will see play if we get it. Now moving on to the Holo slot, we have mostly hit or miss cards here. Sasuke Samurai is interesting in the fact that it is effectively a Nobleman of Crossout on battle. When it attacks a face-down defense position monster at the start of the damage step, it just destroys it without battle. Book of Life is Monster Reborn for zombies. Mirage of Nightmare is one of the big cards I was talking about last episode, and this card is extremely ban-worthy, as long as you have enough ways to out it in your deck. During your opponent's standby phase, you draw until you have 4 cards in your hand, and then during your standby phase, you discard the same number of cards from your hand at random. However, if you have a way to out the Mirage of Nightmare, even if it's with an emergency provisions that you draw off of the Mirage of Nightmare, you can activate said emergency provisions during your draw step and be able to keep all the cards, as well as get a nice 1000 life point boost. A Gravekeeper's Chief is the current boss monster for the Necro Valley archetype, and the Gravekeeper archetype, it's not great. It makes it so that your graveyard is unaffected by your Necro Valley, which we'll get into shortly, and then if you summon it, you get to target a Gravekeeper monster in your graveyard and special summon it. It's only a 1900 body, but if we do get this and a Necro Valley, we will consider playing Gravekeeper. A Reaper on the Nightmare is a fusion of Nightmare Horse and Spirit Reaper, that if we do somehow manage to get a level 5 and Metamorphosis, this will be a good target. It has the effects of both Nightmare Horse and Spirit Reaper, as well as their combined attack and defense points. A Dark Room of Nightmare is a card that is good if you have lots of effects that inflict small amounts of effect damage, because this does increase the amount of effect damage that each source deals by 300. A Necro Valley, this is probably the best super rare in the deck. In addition to being a Gravekeeper field spell that grants them 500 attack and defense, this has a lot of ways to stop graveyard effects in it. We have said that we are going to play with card text as it was at the time of release. This is the one exception. With Necro Valley, we will be playing with current text only. The reason why is because Konami really didn't know how to do what they wanted to do with this card until the most recent errata. So we will be using the current card text for Necro Valley only throughout the entire progression series, just so that it doesn't lead to confusion and loopholes with regards to the interactions with old card text. And then the final super rare that's worth talking about is Barrel Behind the Door. Barrel Behind the Door redirects one source of effect damage to your opponent. If your opponent has a big burn effect, such as a Magic Cylinder or a Ring of Destruction, that could be very strong against it. And given that we know Demon has Magic Cylinder, we may play this. Now at the ultra rare slot, it's Feast or Famine. Half of the ultra rares are very strong, and half of them are just complete trash. Great Desired and Fushio Richie are absolutely terrible in sealed formats, and we will not talk about them further. Guardian Sphinx is a hell of a bomb. It's a 2400 tribute set. It locks your opponent out of having monsters, because when it's flip summoned, you get to bounce all of your opponent's monsters. The 1700 attack does make it susceptible to Bottomless Trap Hole though, but other than that, if you can protect it, it is devastating. The ultra rare that I will be chasing is Dawn Zalug. So Dawn Zalug saw all kinds of constructed play around this era. It is a highly accessible card. You can search for it off Mystic Tomato, off of Sangan, off of Witch of the Black Forest, off of Reinforcement of the Army. It's an incredibly accessible card. It's immune to Bottomless Trap Hole with that 1400 attack, and it strips cards out of your opponent's hand when it does battle damage. We will play this if we get it. A Hell Poemer is an interesting one. It's a 1 tribute 2k attacker, which is an okay body. If it is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, your opponent discards 1 random card every single turn. A Mystical Knight of Jackal is an interesting finisher. It's a 2700 2 tribute that when it destroys a monster by battle, you can send it to the top of your opponent's deck. So this will make your opponent think twice about setting a monster, because you can just lock them out of their draw, and it's a great way to just lock them out of the game completely. Visor Shock is not worth talking about because it's just not worth the cost for that kind of effect. A Rope of Life is an all-in Monster Reborn that requires you to discard your hand, but it does give the revived monster 800 attack. And then Nightmare Wheel is Spellbinding Circle that also does 500 damage to your opponent. This card is very strong, and we will play it if we get it. Both of the secret rares are also incredible cards. They are Ring of Destruction and Lava Golem. Ring of Destruction is a spot removal that deals damage to both players or equal to the attack of the destroyed monster. There are no restrictions on what this can target, like there is now. And then the other ultra rare is Lava Golem. Lava Golem is the original kaiju, and we will play this in some capacity if we get it. It sacrifices 2 of your opponent's monsters to give them a 3k beater that does 1000 points of damage to them during each of their standby phases. And with the release of Pharaonic Guardian comes a new Forbidden and Limited list. Lots of cards from Legacy of Darkness put on the list. Exiled Force, Fiber Jar, Injection Fairy Lily, Twin-Headed Behemoth, and Yatagarasu all get limited to 1 copy each. And Marauding Captain, Creature Swap, Reinforcement of the Army, and Last Turn all get semi-limited to 2 copies each. Alright, 24 packs of Pharaonic Guardian. This is a big set. Lots of powerful cards at all rarities. Hoping to get some Spirit Reapers. Some of the Holos would be nice, but we have a lot to go over in deck building. So let's get started with our first pack of Pharaonic Guardian, which contains a Reaper on the Nightmare, which is not bad if we can make a level 5. That is a great Metamorphosis target. The rest of this pack has a Swarm of Scarabs and a Reckless Greed, which we will look out for. Multiple copies of. Overall, nothing super crazy, but it is actually a pretty exciting pack in terms of some of the low-end stuff. But the Reaper on the Nightmare will be interesting if we can make it work. And there's a Metamorphosis. That's one of the cards that we are looking for 3 copies of, so we can make that Thousand Eyes restrict. Wing Sage Falcos is not bad either. It's a nice body, and it can return destroyed monsters to the top of the deck. And there's a Dark Geroid. That is another card that I failed to mention during the intro to the set. A Dark Geroid is actually an interesting card. It doesn't have a great body, but when it's summoned, you target an opponent's monster and it loses 800 attack permanently. We also got a Terraforming and a Gravekeeper's Guard, both of which are strong cards. A Rite of Spirit could be good if we picked up enough copies of Terraforming and a copy of Necro Valley, although Necro Valley is not guaranteed because it is a super rare, but it would be very nice to be able to play. We'll take the Terraforming regardless because field spells get incredibly powerful much later on in the progression series. And there's another Dark Geroid, and our first Book of Tayo, our first Deslakuta as well. These cards are starting to come together. We are still early in the pack, so we're looking for some more things, but that Book of Tayo could wind up being very good, and that is one of the set's short prints, so it is not easy to get a hold of this card. Oh, there we go. Those are sweet cards. We got a Raigeki Break, a Needle Sealing, Ordeal of a Traveler, and Spirit Reaper. Spirit Reaper might be the most important rare in the set. It won't see as much longevity as Book of Moon, but Spirit Reaper is very difficult to get over right now. That is one of the cards that we were really looking for to play that stall deck. Ordeal of the Traveler is nice for the stall deck as well, and Raigeki Break is good removal. That is a card that I would like to see 3 copies of if possible, just to be able to have answers for back row. And there's a Gravekeeper Spy and a Spear Soldier. The Spies are really important to have 3 of for any kind of stall deck, and especially Gravekeeper. A Spy is the bulk of your defense. Spear Soldier isn't bad either. If we can pick up a Necro Valley, that can wind up being a 2k attacker with Piercing, which can deal quite a bit of damage to our opponent. And there's another Terraforming. We also got our first different dimension capsule, which could wind up seeing play in our stall-based strategies, but it really depends on the backer removal. This might be better in Game 1 than it is 2 and 3, when our opponents may be bringing in more backer removal. But the Terraforming is good too. The rest of this pack is not great. And there's an interesting one. That is a King Tiger Wanghu. So this is a summon floodgate that prevents all monsters from 1400 attack on up being normal summoned or special summoned. It does not prevent flip summons. We did pick up another copy of Metamorphosis, and that is our first copy of Birdface if we do want to play Harpies down the line. So we're looking for 1 more Metamorphosis. The Needle Sealing is nice too. I don't think we're going to be playing multiple copies of it, but Needle Sealing is a nice card, and that is our second copy of Dark Snake Syndrome if we do want to go the stall strategy. And there's another Spirit Reaper, as well as a card that I forgot to mention during the intro to the set, and that is Royal Tribute. A Royal Tribute is incredibly unfair if you're in the full Gravekeeper archetype. So what it does is it makes both players reveal their hands and then discard all their monsters. It is so backbreaking and unfair that if one of us does wind up opening the Gravekeeper deck, I could very well see Royal Tribute getting quickly banned. There's another Book of Taiyo and another Raigeki break. That's also our first Yomi ship if we do want to play that, but given our removal suite, I don't think it is necessary to do so. That is also our third copy of Swarm of Scarabs for the Pac-Man deck if we do want to play that. A Reversal Quiz is part of some interesting combos. It's a card you only want to play one of, but I don't think we're going to be able to actually build that deck anytime soon. But I will take a second Raigeki break. Really hoping to see one more of those. We've only seen the one Holo so far, and we are halfway through the box. And there's another Holo. It's not a great one, though. It is Book of Life. We will have that if we play the zombie deck, but the zombie deck is a ways off. We did pick up another Trap Dust Shoot, though, and we did also pick up some more good Gravekeepers. We picked up a Spear Soldier, and we picked up a second Spy, but still no Necro Valley. Necro Valley is really, really important to play Gravekeepers, just because that attack boost is huge. There's another Gravekeeper's Assailant. Inpachi is a 1900 defender with good attack, so if we wind up with a normal monster-focused deck, and that strategy is coming up in a few sets, just not yet, that could wind up getting played. And there's a second Book of Light. If we can get zombie support later on, we may end up playing zombies for a while. It won't be extremely good until the zombie support comes out in the Zombie World Structure deck much later, although we do get some more zombie support cards in a few sets. But Double Book of Life could wind up being something, we just don't have the support for it quite yet. Of note, that is also our third Rite of Spirit for the Gravekeeper deck if we do get a Necro Valley to play it with. Rite of Spirit is Monster Reborn for Gravekeeper. And there's another super rare. Unfortunately, it is not a very playable one. It is Trap of Board Eraser. All that it does is it just stops one instance of effect damage, and then your opponent discards a card from their hand of their choice. Not too powerful. We did pick up another Lakuta, and we did pick up a Dark Coffin, but we haven't seen a single Swarm of Locusts yet, and that's a card that I'm really looking out for the side deck, just because back removal is so important if you can keep that thing protected. And there's a second copy of Reckless Greed. We really need one more of these to make playing all three worth it, because if you activate multiples of these in the same chain, you will only skip 2 draw phases, yet go plus on cards. Now there's an interesting rare. That is a Moisture Creature. It is a pretty big body for a 2 tribute. It's 2800 attack and 2900 defense. However, if you use 3 tributes to make it, you do get to destroy all of your opponent's back row, I think. Yes, it destroys all your back row. It is interesting, but I don't think we're going to wind up playing it. We did pick up our third Metamorphosis, so we do have that online. We have a different Dimension Capsule, which is our second. I don't think that's a card we're going to want to play 3 of, but I believe 2 is the sweet spot for that. Disturbance Strategy is part of a couple cute combos, but I don't think we're going to be playing that either. Really running out of packs to find what we're looking for. Oh, there we go. There's our first really nice pull. In addition to getting a King Tiger Wanghu, we got a secret rare Ring of Destruction. That's our first really strong card from Pharaonic Guardian. We are going to be playing that for a very long time, at least through 5Ds. Very strong card. And there's our first ultra rare. It's not a great ultra rare. It is Rope of Life. We could possibly want to play Rope of Life if we have some kind of Reanimator deck, but we do not have the things to do that. Our first really good target for reanimation at low rarity is going to be Despair from the Dark, and that's not for 2 more sets. But it is something that we do want to consider when we build decks in the future. Oh, thank you, thank you. There is a card that I was really worried we weren't going to get. That is Book of Moon. Book of Moon is a forever staple. We will be playing this for almost the rest of time. This just sets any monster at quick play speed. Very, very strong, and we did at least finish our playset of Gravekeeper Spy. Still looking for some more guards, though. We only have one guard. If we can pick up one more guard, we may be able to wildcard a Necro Valley and play Gravekeepers in the future. Alright, so only 3 packs left to go. This opening has had a couple of nice hits, but it really leaves a lot to be desired. Hopefully we can pick up one more nice card in the close. We did pick up a 3rd Spirit Reaper and a 2nd Gravekeeper's Guard. I can't argue with that. Triple Spirit Reaper is definitely going to put us more towards stall. The 2nd Gravekeeper's Guard will as well. This is a pretty nice pack. We also got our 3rd copy of Deslakuda, which is the card that Pac-Man is named for. Then for our second to last pack, we can pick up an ultra rare question. This is an interesting one. This is not something that will stay in the main deck, but I think we will play this in our first match, and then we will take this out of the deck for a while until it's been quite some time, and then Demon just forgets about it. So this is another card I didn't discuss in the opening because it's pretty gimmicky. So what it does is when you activate the card, your opponent cannot check cards in the graveyard. Your opponent must recall the first monster from the bottom of your graveyard up. If they remember it, then the card gets banished. But otherwise, you get to summon it from your graveyard for free. So I think we're probably going to play that just as a meme. The card's not great, but it is definitely worth talking about. And then for our very last pack, see if we can pick up something nice in the close. Just a Coffin Seller. We did get a 3rd Royal Tribute. That would be pretty strong if we had Necro Valley, but we do not have Necro Valley. We have most of the important stuff for it. We got 2 Assailant, we got 2 Guard, 3 Spear Soldier, 3 Spy. We could very well wind up on a Gravekeeper strategy if we can manage to get a Necro Valley from somewhere. So overall, I would say this opening was decidedly average. Triple Spirit Reaper is good. Ring of Destruction is fantastic. We only got 1 Book of Moon, but I think we got enough cards to actually make this an exercise for deck building. See you in the games. So first of all, you may be wondering why I'm wearing a different shirt specifically for the deck edit, and that is because after recording the episode, I made the discovery that my microphone was muted when I recorded the deck profile only, so this will need to be re-recorded. So that's why if things look a little different, they do. But this is the deck that we will be taking to today's duel, and I'm pretty excited to play this. Even though we didn't get any Swarm of Locusts, I have still opted to play Pac-Man. So Pac-Man, as I had stated before, stands for Pure Advantage Camels Munch All Noobs. And it's pretty easy to see why with this deck list. I'll take you through the card by card. We have 1 copy of Cyberjar, 3 copies of Deslakuda, which is the Pure Advantage Camel. If we can keep our opponent's monsters from attacking, this will let us draw an extra card every turn and quickly bury our opponent in card advantage. 2 Magician of Faith, 2 Mask of Darkness, 2 Morphing Jar number 2. We have tons of flip effect monsters in this deck, and Morphing Jar number 2 is the only good way we have to recycle them. 3 Princess of Tsurugi for burn damage. Pretty happy to see 3 of this. This adds up very quickly if we can get this to flip multiple times. 1 Sandkin, 3 Spirit Reaper to blank attacks, 2 copies of Swarm of Scarabs to blow up our opponent's monsters that they can't attack with, and then 1 copy of Witch of the Black Forest, rounding out our 20 monsters. We are playing 45 cards specifically because with this type of deck, a deck out is an issue. For the spells, 1 copy of Book of Moon. This is going to be a forever staple. I do kind of wish we had more of these, but we do get some opportunities to get more copies of this. However, it's not a big deal if we don't get them because this card does get limited. 2 copies of Dark Snake Syndrome. This is our primary win condition. So what this does is this inflicts increasing amounts of damage to both players. Now, I do have a Barrel Behind the Door in my pool, but unfortunately, Barrel Behind the Door only works on the activation of a card or a monster effect. You cannot use Barrel Behind the Door against continuous spell cards. So, unfortunately, we will not be able to ever make our opponent take both sets of damage. 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. This is our only back row removal still. We do have some conditional back row removal out of the board, but this is our only way to deal with back row, and generally speaking, we don't care too much about our opponent's back row, as we are trying to just stop the game from being played, basically. 3 copies of Mask of the Accursed. I think this is still worth playing just because it is a burn card, but Book of Moon is another out to this. 2 copies of Metamorphosis to go into our Thousand Eyes Restrict. We could also potentially go into Reaper on the Nightmare in some pretty funky situations, but this is mostly to make a Thousand Eyes Restrict and slow the game to a crawl. 1 Pot of Greed, 1 Scapegoat. This is our other way to get into Thousand Eyes Restrict with Metamorphosis. 2 copies of Vengeful Bog Spirit. This is a great way to slow the game down. 2 copies of Gravity Bind. 1 copy of Just Desserts. This is pretty good off of a Morphing Jar or a Cyber Jar. 2 copies of Ominous Fortune Telling. This is another win condition that I think is a little bit more reliable than Burning Land because it's not one-sided. You just need to keep track of the cards in your opponent's hand. However, if they don't have any cards in their hand, then you won't be able to use this, and that is a little bit of a concern. But if they get monster flooded, then you can pretty reliably get damage in with this. 2 copies of Raigeki Break. This is anything removal. I don't like that it's a 2-for-1, but there are certain back row that we would need to deal with, and this can deal with monsters as well. 1 copy of Ring of Destruction. Now, you may be wondering why I'm not playing Barrel Behind the Door in this deck, because Ring of Destruction and Barrel Behind the Door is a very lethal combo, in that if you have both of them, it will let your opponent take both sets of damage. Unfortunately, I don't have too many other burn effects in this deck that are compatible with Barrel Behind the Door, but it was a consideration. Then 1 copy of Solemn Judgment and 3 copies of Solemn Wishes, rounding out the main deck. For the side deck, we have Confiscation. The reason why I have Confiscation in the side deck and not the main deck is specifically because I'm trying to avoid as many life point payment cards as possible, because Dark Snake Syndrome's effect damage is symmetrical. 2 Fisher, 2 Noblemen of Crossout, if we do need more monster removal. 2 copies of Prohibition that will come in after we have seen what Demon is playing. 1 copy of Remove Trap, 1 copy of Soul Release, 2 copies of the Shallow Grave. One issue I've had with the Shallow Grave in the past is you cannot play this if either of the monster zones, including your opponent's monster zones, are full, or both players do not have a target in the graveyard. 1 copy of Mask of Restrict for the crabs, 1 copy of 7 tools in the side for the same reason as the Confiscation. Also, back row space is at a premium in this deck, so we don't want to play too many counter traps, because that fills up our back row quickly, and then 2 copies of Trap Dust Shoot if we know we're going first. Pretty excited to play this deck. Kind of hoping that we can get some good troll moments out of Demon in this episode, but either way, let's bring those camels on. It is time to duel. Alright, Demon, 1 more duel before we take our first trip to the Hall of Eternity, where the format shall be reshapen by cards sent to the Shadow Realm. How you doing?
Doing good. Kind of happy with what I pulled. Admittedly, there were definitely a couple other things I could have been happy with, but we'll see what we can do with it.
Well, I was pretty happy with what I got too, so we'll see how this goes. Think I'd be on paper strats. Darn. Well, either way, I guess you will be taking the play.
Yep.
Good luck, duelist.
Good luck. Alright, draw for turn. Standby main. Oof. This is going to be a hell of a start for me.
That's pretty good. Somebody has a Trinity draw, clearly.
How'd you know? I fire Graceful Charity.
Well, if you fire a delinquent duo...
I don't have that, thankfully.
I'm gonna say, if you fire a delinquent duo, just no.
I'll pitch my Island Turtle, and I kind of feel like maybe my Rush Recklessly here.
I mean, that card's not great on the play.
Alright. I think I'm going to set a card, and then I'm going to set 1, 2, and 3.
3 back row, huh?
And pass it to you.
Alright, draw for turn, stand by, main. Well, you'll know what's up now.
Yeah, feeling you were going to play bullshit.
Well, the question is, what level of bullshit is it? Go ahead.
Alright, draw. Stand by main.
Heavy Storm? You're not going to You wouldn't have set all those cards if you had Heavy Storm.
Let's see. Well, I guess I'm kind of safe to flip my Magician of Faith this turn.
Well, that's pretty good.
So we'll go ahead and get Pot of Greed back.
For all those cards you're drawing, how about you do yourself a favor and deck yourself?
Well, with any luck, I'll hit something beforehand. That's not what I wanted to see. Alright, I will set a card, and I will pass it over.
Alright, draw for turn, stand by, main. I'm going to flip summon my Princess of Tsurugi. Please take 2,000 damage.
Yikes. Sure.
Big hit. Then I'm going to set another monster, and set a back row, and pass the turn.
Draw. Stand by main. Ooh, there's a card.
I mean, if you want a Heavy Storm with 4 back row, go for it.
Right. What can you have back there? I'm going to summon out my 7-colored fish.
Sure, you have a 7-colored fish.
I'm going to activate Raigeki Break. I will pitch this Turtle Oath and target your Vengeful Bog Spirit.
Sure.
Alright, so with that being the case, battle. Let's go and clear out your princess.
Let's actually Ring of Destruction the 7-colored fish.
Oh, you actually hit one.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons I was very happy with my pulls. That's such a nice card. That good?
Yeah, that's good. Oh, shit. Okay. Main phase 2, I will switch my Magician to defense, then I will set a card and pass it over.
At the end of your turn, I'm going to activate Ominous Fortune Telling.
Oh, for God's sake.
Alright, draw for turn, stand by. I will say that this is a monster card.
That is my Legendary Ocean.
Okay, good to know you have that. Main. Munch Munch. There's a Pure Advantage Camel ability as Chain Link.
Yeah, I got no response to that.
Cool.
Waka 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 waka.
That's what it does. Go.
Alright, draw. Ooh, that's actually not bad.
Got the Geki?
Well, I actually had the Geki in hand for a little bit.
Well, you got some good ones.
Ooh, Scarabs too, okay. So I'm going to activate my Book of Moon to target my Magician.
That's so good. That is so good. That's disgusting, dude.
So I'm going to flip my Magician and get Pot of Greed for the 3rd time. So let's see what we can hit.
How about you deck yourself?
I was about to say, I would laugh if he actually manages to deck himself. There is such a thing as too much greed.
Now I'm going to banish my Island Turtle.
Oh, Aqua Spirit, yep.
Yep. Aqua Spirit here. And then...
No, I'm assuming you want to go to the fighty phase.
Yeah.
I'll take it all.
An attack declaration, Robin Goblin.
That's really that is really bad.
So let's see who we hit. So that one.
This is a pretty good one.
Ooh, Spirit Reaper. And that one.
That is also a pretty good one.
Ooh. Main phase 2. I'm going to activate a Legendary Ocean. And I'm going to pass the turn.
Alright, draw for turn, stand by. I gotta roll first, hang on. This is a monster card.
This is my Imperial Order.
Wow, never lucky.
That's actually why I activated ALO afterwards, just that way I can have a better chance of you not hitting it right.
Alright, well, since you have a Robin Goblin up, I'm just gonna set my hand.
Alright. Draw. Standby main. Let's see.
Demon, I have a question.
What's that?
Why didn't you play a Legendary Ocean before attacking? You could have gotten an extra 200 damage.
I could have, but it probably wouldn't. Honestly, the 200 wouldn't have made too much of a difference.
If this 200 makes a difference.
If it does.
I was about to say, I'm going to laugh. Rya's going to hold on by like 100 life points and clutch this back.
Alright, so we'll hit.
Sure. I'll take 21. Or 8. I'll take 18. I don't know if you want to attack with the Faith also. But I'll attack with
Nah, I think I'm going to go ahead and switch off to defense. And then I'm going to set a monster and pass the turn.
Okay. Draw for turn, standby. This is a trap card.
That is my Heavy Storm.
You've had it the whole time, too. Lovely.
I mean, well, no, I pulled it after the last pot of greed. I just figure it's not worth losing my back row just yet, unless I absolutely need it.
So here is what we will do. I am going to pass.
Ooh, okay.
Odd.
I'm curious as to why you did that.
In response, I am going to chain Raigeki Break.
Oh, okay.
And I will kill Aqua Spirit.
Okay. Alright. In response, I'm going to chain Rush Recklessly, targeting my Magician of Faith.
That's pretty good. You probably have follow-up in hand. I have no further responses.
Neither do I.
Okay, so chain resolves. You got my Gravity Bind.
Ooh, I had a feeling you would have Gravity Bind. And then that goes. And then I will switch my Moth to attack. I will flip summon my Witch of the Black Forest.
Okay, this isn't lethal yet.
But it's 21.
It is.
And just to help with some shenanigans preventing, I'm going to activate Swords to Revealing Light and set one card.
Yep.
Good luck.
That's not going to get there.
Well, the 200 didn't matter.
Alright, now that I know I'm going first, this changes things quite a bit. Alright, hopefully this game 2 goes a little bit better. I'll take the play.
Alright.
Alright, draw for turn. Standby main. Alright, let's go ahead and just get this party started.
Oh, shit. Dark Snake Syndrome.
I'll activate Dark Snake Syndrome and set a monster. Go ahead.
I didn't mention that card, but okay.
Yeah, that card
Main
is a win.
phase one.
It's a win condition.
It can be. Alright, so we're going to start with Pot of Greed.
Greed again. Yup. I mean, that first duel, you activated Pot of Greed 3 times. There was no way I was coming back.
True. Okay. Let's see.
I mean, clearly you pull a Yugi and make him deck himself.
Alright, I think you might actually enjoy this card. I'm going to normal summon my 8 Claws Scorpion.
So it's a
24, what now?
It's a 2400 attacker for set monsters?
Yep.
That's an interesting card. That's actually pretty good against this deck, not gonna lie.
This was a card that, as a kid, I always read it and thought to myself, this seemed really stupid. Why would you flip it face down? And what does it matter if you're going to ram into a small, like a defense monster? As I got older, I realized, oh, wait a minute. This basically tells Pac-Man to go fuck itself.
It does.
So, let's see what you got hit in there.
It can't die.
Oh.
Oh.
It cannot die.
Well, I was going to save this for later, but you know what? Fine. Let's rush recklessly in battle phase. Clear it out.
Yep, and then that will let you redeclare if you would like.
Actually, it does not, because my monster, because the attack still went through. But
Right, that's after the attack is resolved.
Right. So I'm going to set one card, and then I'm going to activate the effect of my 8-Claw Scorpion and set itself into face-down defense.
Sure. Alright.
Have fun.
Draw for turn, standby, we each take 200.
The first bite has happened.
Alright. Main. I'm gonna normal my Swarm of Scarabs.
Okay.
Go to the battle phase. I'll hit over your 200 defense Scorpion.
I'm going to chain my Book of Moon to flip him down.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Go.
Alright, standby main. So I'm going to flip summon my 8-claw scorpion,
Yep.
and I'm going to run out a King Tiger Wanghu.
Oh.
That's really good.
My side deck was specifically made for the sake of dealing with Pac-Man. If that was what... Because I had a feeling you were going to run that out, and I wanted to make sure of it. So Scorpion is going to go into your monster,
Yep.
and Wanghu will hit for 17.
I mean, if you're side decking for Pac-Man, then what can I do?
And Scorpion will flip to defense, and your move.
Yep. Anyway, stand by. We both take 4.
Yep.
Main. I'm gonna mask your tiger.
All right.
Then I'm gonna set a monster and pass. I should actually put 2 on this.
Stand by main. Ooh. Do I want to waste that now, or do I want to wait? Let's see. Is it cannot attack? Okay, so I wouldn't want to switch it to defense anyway. Okay, so I'm gonna run out my island turtle.
Sure.
I will flip summon my 8-claw scorpion.
Sure.
Demon.
Both your guys are dead.
Well,
Oh,
the scorpion.
Shit! I completely
I
forgot that was reciprocal.
I'm sorry. The scorpion doesn't die. The scorpion
No, it does.
summoned. The scorpion's fine.
Oh yeah, it's normal summon or special summon. Okay.
But your tiger eats your turtle.
Whoops.
Yeah, that effect is reciprocal, sir.
Oh boy, I completely forgot about that one. Whoops.
Yep.
Oh well, let's go into your defense.
Can't die.
I hate that goddamn Reaper.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Spirit Reaper's pretty good. You got another kill spell for me?
I do not. So I'm gonna be smart, switch that to defense, and pass the turn.
Alright, draw for turn. Stand by. You will take 13, I will take 8. Main.
At least I'm still in the lead in terms of life point. Like you're gonna die before I do, so
That is not necessarily the case.
don't tell me you got fucking reversal quiz.
With what's showing on the board, Demon is right, but I can't see your hands, obviously.
Well, you'll see. I'm just gonna pass.
Alright. That does not help me. I'm going to set a card and pass.
Sure. Draw for turn. Stand by. Stand by. You'll take 20. You'll take 21. I'll take 16. Main.
You will live next turn by 100 points.
Set a monster. Go.
I mean, Rai can just stall this out into a draw if he wants to.
That's the other thing. Is like worst case, Dark Snake Syndrome will end the game in a draw if it's not dealt with.
Oh, that's actually hilarious. That's enough. That's gonna be enough. I'm gonna activate my Heavy Storm.
Ah, you did have the Heavy Storm set. Okay, that's fine.
I'm going to... Wait a minute.
The tiger's free at least.
Wait a minute. Shit. I can't actually do that. Fuck. I did not... Okay, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. We're gonna go ahead and fire off the Geki.
Sure.
Alright, so we're gonna flip.
So this is 2K?
2K.
Sure.
And then... Set and... Set.
Alright, draw for turn, stand by, main. Vengeful.
Okay.
Set. Go.
Draw. Stand by main. Well, better late than never.
Sure.
He's Raven.
Interesting that you're still on the rituals.
Trust me, I'll explain why in a little bit. We're gonna flip... Oh, wait, shit. If I flip the Scorpion, it won't actually help me.
Nope.
Alright. Let's go eat what I assume is a camel.
Nope. You're not gonna like
Oh, shit.
You're not gonna like that too much.
No, I am not. And even more so, that means Crab Turtle is almost completely useless now. Because...
All right.
That was your only oath?
Well, no, I have one more oath. That's the issue. I have one oath and one turtle in deck now, so...
All right, let's play the game. Oh, you have one too. That's one.
Okay, so that's one monster. There's two monster. That's not a... There's three monster.
Okay.
And four monster.
So the island turtle, the witch, and the 7-colored fish all get set.
I was really
The spirit as well?
Nope.
no,
You can't.
because it can't be special summoned outside of its own effect to start with.
Yeah, it's semi-nomi.
Oh. Yeah.
All right, main 2.
All right, draw for
That's the
turn.
trouble.
Standby, main.
Now I'm actually kind of scared because if with Vengeful Blog you get at least 1 turn free
I do.
next turn.
I do.
So, and giving Pac-Man time to set up is a bad idea.
Oh yeah. Already gone through that. We've gone through 2 Book of Moon. What gets you out of this? Sorry, I need some time. What? This is a difficult decision. Okay, I think I know what I'm gonna do. I am going to prohibit Graceful Charity,
Oh,
and then I will pass the turn.
I kind of forgot you had Prohibition.
You had already played every card that I was scared of, so I was trying to figure out what the best thing to turn offline is.
Fair enough. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. We'll flip the Witch, flip the Fish. I'll set a card, and I'll activate ALO.
Draw for turn, standby, main.
The nice thing about ALO is the fact that this helps me deal with Gravity Bind in a
Yeah,
way.
I will set a monster and pass.
Because now the fish gets under it.
You know the funny
Yep.
the funny thing is, back when this stuff was new, I actually used to play Gravity Bind in that deck.
See, that's pretty fun. Like, that's a good combo.
And-
By the way, I'm gonna summon out my 8-claw Scorpion.
Sure.
He can't attack this turn, but that doesn't matter too much. Battle phase. Let's hit 2k into this guy.
Okay, it is my Moth. I'm gonna go ahead and get a mask.
Ooh.
Welp.
Okay. And, alright. Witch into your other one.
Sure, it's a Sangan. I'm gonna get the thing that gets me out of this.
Boom jar.
The jar that says everything goes explode.
Draw for turn, standby, main. Set a monster, could be anything.
Could be anything.
Then I'm going to set a back row that also could be anything. And go.
Ooh, that would have been
Because
nice.
you've already used both your Raigeki and your Heavy Storm. So I think I can stabilize this game. It's gonna be difficult, but I think I can stabilize this game. I mean, you gotta trip
But let's
it.
do it. Yeah, we gotta set it off.
Yeah, you gotta trip it.
If I let you set it off on your turn, then that's just gonna make things even worse for me.
Yeah, because then it also just delays the monsters another turn.
So. Oh my god. Okay, so you have Knock, you have Ominous, Raigeki Break, Dust Shoot, and Prohibition again.
Okay. Yeah, that was the thing I was afraid of, is not hitting monsters. The problem is you have Imperial Order.
And your best buddy, the Crab Turtle, is back again.
Yup. Not too helpful, though.
Alright, shuffle up. If you want to do something about it, you're going to have to find it. I'm going to set 3 cards face down and pass it to you.
It's a poor man's magical hats.
Okay. Draw for turn. Anything in standby?
Nothing in standby.
Okay, main. I'm gonna just force you to use this Imperial Order.
Alright.
Yeah. So then I think...
You know what's the hilarious thing, too? Is that if I don't draw a monster next turn, these two actually... Well, okay, Cyberjar kind of ignores this anyway, but like if somehow you were to flip Cyberjar up and not set it off, I'd still be short 100 points on killing you.
Okay. So this is a little bit risky, but I think I have to do it. Yeah, I think I have to do this. I am going to normal summon my Mask of Darkness.
Oh, interesting.
I will go to the battle phase, and I will attack into the Cyberjar.
Yep.
Ooh,
Because Imperial Order negates Vengeful Bog Spirit.
it does. Oh god, do I really want to... Let me think real quick. Damn it.
'Cause-
That doesn't... Nothing... Okay, so if I get Moth back, if I do something to stop this and let my Moth resolve later, there really isn't a whole lot that helps me in this instance. So, okay.
Yep.
I'll let it go.
Yep. They explode.
Holy
Whoa! That is a loaded.
Jesus.
Cyber.
That
Jesus.
okay. Wait. Let me ask this real quick. Does Wangu's effect activate upon resolution here?
When King Tiger Wangu is special summoned by the effect of Cyberjar, other monsters with attack 1400 or less that are special summoned by the same Cyberjar are destroyed
That's what
if
I
they are
thought.
special summoned.
That's what I thought.
Oh,
So
okay,
you'll have to set all of those if you want to keep them around.
all right. So we're gonna summon 2 Tiger. We will set Exile Force. We will set Scorpion, and we're actually gonna summon out Sangan.
Yeah,
I was about to say-
to proc your Sangan, that makes sense.
Yeah, to get the Sangan proc.
Let's be realistic. There is no way in hell you're gonna be popping my Sangan for me.
Exactly.
Okay. I guess I will add my Sinister Serpent to my hand, if nothing else, to kind of thin this out a bit.
Alright. Main phase 2. I am going to set...
Amusingly, we now see an example of a level 0 monster as soon as the Imperial Order is off the board.
I am going to set 2 back row. And then I am going to mask your King Tiger Wangu.
Okay? I mean, you can.
It's
still
just
negated.
It's just
but-
negated.
Yeah, true, because it doesn't have the restriction like Jinzo to stop him from playing them.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. I will pass the turn.
Alright, so I draw. Stand by. Do I want to pay the 700 life points? Because for those watching, this is pre-errata, so I have the choice.
Correct.
Actually, now that I think about it, this is the first time I actually get to use this card.
This is actually kind of a decision, I think.
It is.
Do you want to pay for Imperial?
I kind of want to, honestly.
Okay.
Okay, so main phase 1. So I'm gonna gamble a bit here. I'm gonna flip summon my Exile Force. I'm going to use Exile Force to pop your monster.
It's a witch.
Okay.
It's the witch you knew about. Witch is going to get... I'll get Spirit Reaper.
Okay. I feel like I'm going to be taking a 50-50 on this. I am activating Raigeki Break, pitching my Sinister Serpent.
1 second. Ra, you have a bunch of cards in your that you haven't picked up.
Oh, wow.
Oh, he's true. Oh, crap.
Right.
I just realized that.
Right. I have to discard the hand size.
Well, there's our first hold up right there.
It was going to happen eventually.
Especially because, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, his life is low enough that maybe Solemn Judgment might not be the best idea, but at the same time, that might have made an impact for what he played face down.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think that actually changed anything.
So you tossed out... Okay.
Yeah, dust shoots aren't going to be very good.
Yeah. Okay, so I pitch for cost. Any response? Or, well, let me actually...
yeah, I need a target first. What are you
before-
targeting?
Okay, we're targeting that one.
Sure.
Fortune telling. Okay. Huh. This is the tough part. 'Cause-
Of your, I actually don't think... I actually think you got this one. I just want to make sure there's nothing I can do.
I was gonna say, the thing that scares me is I remember you have Mirror Force. That's why I was like, I have to take the gamble on which one I'm flipping here, because...
Thinking. No, nothing I can do, unfortunately. This was a Raigeki break. What I wanted to do is I wanted to Raigeki break your Imperial Order at the start of combat. I just needed my monster to survive.
Fair. That actually, yeah, that would have messed me up a little bit too, so...
Because...
I had a couple of cards here, but nothing
so you had something to take care of the Spirit Reaper anyway. The only super crazy thing I got out of Pharaonic Guardian was the ring.
Let's see.
Like the ring you already saw.
Yeah, I actually got a couple of cool cards. I hit a Gravekeeper's Chief, which was actually kind of neat. No Necro Valley, though, so I can't really build that deck.
No, I didn't get Necro Valley either.
There is one other thing I want to show real quick, though, because I feel like this gets limited pretty soon anyway.
Oh, you got 2 Ring of Destruction?
Yeah, once it fucking min-max kicked in pretty nicely.
Yeah.
The only difference is this time I actually got a couple of supers in the process, so that's nice.
I think Ring of Destruction actually gets limited on the very next list.
I think so. I gotta say, this actually worked out a lot better than I thought it would at first. And in fact, because I was actually, I put this in the side deck to start with, and I hadn't even thought about it at work today. I was like, maybe I should just take that out entirely, because it might work once, and then you could just, like, summon Lakuta, eat it, and then flip Lakuta back over. But I'm kind of glad to see that actually worked out.
It did. Yeah, the first game, I just could not find like a real win condition after I forced you to use the Heavy Storm, and then after boards, just Imperial Order crushes this deck. It's more the combination of Imperial. The funny thing is, when I saw you were on Legendary Ocean, I actually boarded Gravity Bind out.
I figured as much, because that's the thing. Between 7-color fish, Island Turtle, if needed, for a quick attacker, and Aqua Spirit, they just work really well to get under Gravity Bind and kind of do what they need to do.
The thing I was super happy about with Pharaonic Guardian is I opened 3 Spirit Reapers.
See, that's
God,
pretty
you
good.
got all 3.
That's pretty good. That explains where mine went. I didn't pull a single one.
Well, in any case, well, you got some thinking to do now, so how about we head over to the Hall of Eternity to decide which cards we shall be removing from the format. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hall of Eternity, where very poorly behaved cards go to the Shadow Realm, never to be seen again. So because the record for the first half of DM was 4 wins for DemonBattler and 3 wins for myself, there will be a total of 5 bans in this half of the arc. The way we are handling bans in this series is there will be a number of bans equal to the number of duels that have passed, multiplied by 2/3, rounded up. So there will be a total of 5 bans, and they will be distributed based on the win-loss records. In this case, DemonBattler, since he has more wins, will get 2 bans, and I will get 3. And they will alternate in the picks. So I hope you have your ideas ready.
Yeah, I definitely have one ready. I'm still a little split on the other one, but I can wait until, at least until after the first round to get an idea.
Alright, so the first card that I would like to ban, and this will surprise absolutely no one, is Imperial Order.
yeah, I'm not surprised by that one
That card has been absolute. Okay, so the reason why I'm banning Imperial Order is because I have 2 decks. I have the Mahavilo vertical aggro deck, and I have this deck. Imperial Order crushes both of those decks, and I don't have a way to out Imperial Order at all, other than Raigeki Break. And Raigeki Break is not a reliable way to out Imperial Order.
Fair enough.
Alright,
well,
so Demon,
that's actually hilarious. Can I just say, that's actually hilarious because that means both Pharaoh Serpent Secrets have now officially been banned.
They have been, which gives you an idea of how just nutty bonkers those cards are. So, DemonBattler, may I ask you, what card would you like to remove from the format forever?
I am opting to remove Nobleman of Crossout.
That actually kind of surprises me. I think Nobleman is a fine ban, but
the reason I thought about it, and this actually is because of 2 things. One, it's as you had told me before. The focus of this is to help balance the meta and keep it fair. And the way and I'm not even looking at it in the sense of I don't have one, but it's more a sense of we're going to be in an era for a very good while where flip effect monsters are going to play a key role here. Magician of Faith, Dekoichi when we get to that point. I have Maneater Bug still. We have cards like that that are going to be really good and helpful, and if we just have knock available to us, then that's going to make it that much harder to use, especially because it's like, okay, if you Raigeki Break Magician of Faith, fine, that's whatever. If you knock it, neither of us get that for the entire game. That, to me, it's a little excessive, so that's why I'm okay with getting rid of that card right now. Even though it hasn't really affected us too much yet, I figure it's something to get rid of now before it becomes a problem.
I don't disagree, and I think that, especially with the presence of Raigeki Break, and now we have another answer for sets, because Nobleman of Crossout is specifically good against set monsters.
Right.
So for my second ban, I am going to ban Fairy Box. The reason why I'm banning Fairy Box is because it makes it impossible to do combat, regardless of which side it's on, and it just completely discourages attacking and forces just undesirable game states, and it's a card I really don't want to play around anymore, so I am choosing to ban Fairy Box.
I'm a little bit disappointed by that, but to be entirely honest, I'm not too broken up because, yeah, I had 2 Fairy Box in my side deck the last couple games, but you haven't been attacking, so I haven't actually had the need to side them in. That's fine, I'm willing to accept that one.
Okay, you have one more to decide on. Demon, what card would you like to remove from the format forever?
Alright, so this one is pretty much a case, very much a case of, I do not like you, I do not like this card for you, Snatch Steal is gotta go.
Oh, absolutely. I actually thought that was going to be your first ban, and I completely do not blame you for getting rid of Snatch Steal. That card is absurdly broken, and it only gets better the more summoning mechanics get introduced into the game. So I am A-okay.
Exactly.
I am A-okay with Snatch Steal being gone. Alright, and now the final say, because I have the increased number of bans compared to you being 3, I get the last word. And we dealt with one card that deals with the aggro deck, and now to be able to balance things out and leave, and be able to remove one problem card that is causing issues for the control deck, I'm going to ban King Tiger Wangu.
Oh, no!
Hey, I didn't target all of my bans.
Shoot.
I did not target all of the bans at one particular deck.
Fair enough. You know what, I have to admit, I'm actually very surprised by this one. Not just because, it's something that's brand new, but it's also a case of, this is something that, admittedly, I threw in here partially to act as a bait for a ban, because I figured if this becomes a big enough problem for you, then it would be something on your radar, but at the same time, it also wouldn't be like a colossal loss for me. So because I have other options. But you know what? I definitely respect the reasoning behind it, so good pick on that one.
Because I did have another card in mind. What if I didn't see the King Tiger Wangu? I'm gonna let you in on my thought process. If I wasn't gonna ban King Tiger Wangu, I was gonna ban Bottomless Trap Hole.
I could definitely see that a good case made for that one.
The reason why I wanted to ban Bottomless Trap Hole is because the equip deck is kind of reliant on Mahavila, which is vulnerable to Bottomless Trap Hole. And then the other reason is I don't have any.
True, I forgot you didn't pull any.
But I think that was a pretty productive first round of bans. I think it's going to make the format a lot healthier. The lack of Fairy Box is going to weaken the aggro decks. The lack of Snatch Steal is going to make big threats a little bit harder to deal with. Imperial Order is just a horrendous floodgate that has no business being in the game.
True, there's a reason why it was banned for the longest time, and then needed the errata to be mandatory cost in order to actually come back.
I think this is inevitably what's going to happen in our waves of bans, is just the cards that are going to get targeted the most are going to be the dumb floodgates.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I like, as crazy as it is, because it didn't exactly work out this way too much, I fully expected the first wave of bans to mostly be DM staples, which we see, I want to say 2.5 of those did end up the case. And I say half because Knock was a good card back then, but it wasn't always used everywhere.
Whereas Imperial Order and Snatch Steal just are complete haymakers that are just disgusting cards. So one thing I do want to discuss going forward is that a lot of these cards that could potentially be banned will get reprinted at different rarities. The way we are handling this is if a banned card is opened during a pack opening, after all of the packs are opened, we will tally up all of the banned cards, and then we will replace those cards with other cards from the same set that are the same rarity. So for instance, with Nobleman of Crossout, that is reprinted at Super Rare. If we open a Nobleman of Crossout in the reprint set at Super Rare, we will instead get another random Super Rare from that set.
And honestly, I feel like that's a fair change, because if we get that it'll allow us to actually still get something kind of neat, and also have the feeling of, hey, we pulled a holo, or we pulled something important, instead of, okay, we basically pulled, like, essentially a bum pack of, like, that's missing a card.
Exactly. I think that's going to be the best way to resolve it. Alright, I will go ahead and head over to the prize wheel and see what I wind up with. Unfortunately, King Tiger Wanghu kind of tore us apart in that match. It's a crazy side deck card for any sort of control deck. Just stops everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can get a board wipe off of the wheel, because I'm kind of just single target removal, and losing Nobleman of Crossout makes face down monsters very difficult to deal with. So hopefully we will pick up something nice off of the wheel. Unfortunately, it does not look like we are going to pick up anything nice, just a common wildcard. However, I do have 7 sets to pick from, so I will take a moment to think about what I want. It'll be just a few seconds for you, but it'll be a while for me. Alright, so the card I have chosen to take as my common wildcard is going to be a Legendary Ocean. I only got 1 of this in Legacy of Darkness, so I'm going to take a second copy. 2, along with Terraforming, is enough to be able to play this, although having a 3rd is nice, but that's about all I am going to get. I couldn't think of any other common that I'm really missing. So that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression Series. Join us next time for our first duel in the post-ban environment, that being Magician's Force. Until then, see you around.